report into the country's worst massacre found New Zealand security agencies were almost exclusively focused on the perceived threat of terrorism before a white supremacist gunman killed 51 Muslim worshippers last year. The Royal Commission of Inquiry also criticised police for failing to enforce proper checks when granting a firearms licence to Australian gunman Brenton Tarrant. But despite these shortcomings, the report found no failings within government agencies that would have prevented the attack at two mosques in Christchurch on March 15th of 2019. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said after the report was released, the Commission made no findings that these issues would have stopped the attack, but the Premier said these were both failings and for that she apologises. President-elect Joe Biden will nominate retired four-star Army General Lloyd J. Austin to be Secretary of Defense. If confirmed by the Senate, Austin would be the first black leader of the Pentagon. Biden selected Austin over the longtime front-runner candidate Michelle Froney, a former senior Pentagon official and Biden's supporter who would have been the first woman to serve as Defense Secretary. General Austin, who headed U.S. Central Command under former President Barack Obama, will need a waiver from Congress since it has been less than 7 years since he served. The United States on Tuesday imposed new sanctions on Chinese officials over the clampdown on Hong Kong and took a step towards welcoming residents of the city as U.S. leaders across the political spectrum voiced outrage at Beijing. President Donald Trump's administration has been using its days to ramp up pressure on China, a rare point of unity with President-elect Joe Biden, who has signaled he will maintain a tough line. In its latest move, the Trump administration said it was freezing any U.S. assets and barring travel to the U.S. of 14 vice chairs of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, which spearheaded a tough new security law in Hong Kong. Hong Kong police have arrested 8 more activists over anti-government protests last year, the latest move in a relentless crackdown on opposition forces in the Chinese-ruled city. The police did not identify the people, saying only that they were aged between 24 and 46. Local media on Tuesday said former pro-democracy lawmaker and veteran activist Leung Koo-hung was among those arrested. The move comes a day after 8 people aged between 16 and 34 were arrested, including 3 on suspicion of violating a sweeping national security law over a brief demonstration at a university campus last month. Farmers who have been blockading New Delhi on Tuesday launched a one-day nationwide general strike to push their demands for the government of India to repeal reform laws opening up trade in agricultural produce. Tens of thousands of farmers have been camped on the outskirts of the capital since November 27th in protest at the laws in what has become one of the biggest challenges to the Hindu nationalist government since it won a second landslide election in 2019. Farmers have vowed to block major roads and rail lines across the country for several hours and have been given support by railway workers, truck drivers, teachers, and other unions. Britain on Tuesday held a turning point in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic as it begins the biggest vaccination program in the country's history with a new COVID-19 jab. The first patients in line on what has been dubbed V-Day, the over-80s, care home workers and at-risk frontline health and social care staff will roll up their sleeves for an initial dose from early morning. They will then require a second injection in 21 days' time. Last week, Britain became the first country to approve the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, raising hopes of a breakthrough in the pandemic which has killed more than 1.5 million worldwide. Germany might tighten its restrictions to curb the spread of the coronavirus, Health Minister Jens Spahn said, as the European Union's most populous country struggles to bring down the number of new infections. Political leaders believe the restrictions prevented further exponential growth of new infections, but numbers have plateaued. Meanwhile, as Germany gears up to inoculate its population against the coronavirus, ethics experts have been given a prominent say over who goes first in a country still scarred by memories of the Nazi or communist dictatorships, deciding who gets to live or die. Turkey may impose new intercity travel measures to help combat the coronavirus spread. The 25% decline in the number of virus cases in Istanbul is the result of restrictions, but the virus is spreading in other provinces. Professor Mustafa Nasi Ilhan from the Health Ministry's Social Sciences Board said, adding that travel suspensions may help reduce the number of coronavirus cases. He further said that the daily number of confirmed virus infections are stuck at 30,000. He also said suspending intercity travel will help prevent the virus spread between cities, but if the public creates an awareness, this decision would not be necessary to impose. The Serum Institute of India, the world's largest vaccine producer, said on Tuesday that it has applied for emergency use of Covishield, the first vaccine to be made in India for COVID-19, even as experts questioned the timing of the move. The announcement followed news on Sunday reporting that Pfizer, an American multinational pharmaceutical corporation, had become the first company to apply for emergency use of its COVID-19 vaccine in India. With more than 9.7 million infections and 141,000 deaths reported as of Monday, India is racing against time to contain the outbreak and daily spike in new cases and fatalities. Experts, however, said the timing of the move is highly suspicious, especially since the trial is still not complete. Hong Kong will ban evening dining, restaurants and close fitness centres, the city's leader said Tuesday, as part of new measures aimed at stemming a fourth wave of coronavirus infections. Chief Executive Carrie Lam said the rules aim to reduce the number of people on the streets, echoing moves taken by authorities when cases spiked earlier this year. Dining out will be banned and civil servants would be asked to work from home. Hong Kong's strict social distancing measures have largely helped keep infections to under 7,000 in the city of 7.5 million, with 112 deaths. President-elect Joe Biden Tuesday picked California Attorney General Javier Becerra for Secretary of Health and Human Services as one of his administration's top officials to fight the raging coronavirus pandemic. Biden, who takes office on January 20th, also chose Dr. Rochelle Walensky, Chief of Infectious Diseases at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, to run the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Biden formally tapped Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, as his chief medical advisor on the virus.